Welcome to the Wolves and Sheep podcast. I'm Roberta Glass, and today I'm going to be talking about the cult of Damien Echols. Now, Dave McGowan, who was a wonderful writer, said the West Memphis 3 case has never really been about the West Memphis 3. It's always been about Damien Echols and what was a relentless campaign to free him. And I think that is right. You don't see Jesse Misskelley or Jason Baldwin, especially Jesse Misskelley because he's confessed so many multiple times. But Jason Baldwin, who comes off as very well-spoken and very likable in interviews, you do not see him getting the same kind of attention that Damien Echols has. And he has really been the focused. Certainly, Jason Baldwin doesn't have the friendships with Johnny Depp, the staying at the house of the director of Peter Jackson. Sorry, I was going to say the director of Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's house. He does not have that cachet that the other two child murderers have with celebrities. And let's talk about some of these celebrity supporters, shall we? You have Natalie Maines from the Dixie Chicks, Winona Ryder, Marilyn Manson, Henry Rollins, Margaret Cho, to just name a few. And sadly, Trey Parker, who did South Park, wore a West Memphis Free the West Memphis 3 t-shirt to an award show. So they had no shortage of celebrity supporters in their time in prison, and no shortage of money. And why was the celebrity support so important to the West Memphis 3? Well, celebrities are what's called opinion leaders in our country. They are used to sell products, and they are used to sell cults and religions. And if you look at Scientology, who had a whole campaign, and they have a whole special building, the Celebrity Center, for their celebrity followers, they're important because people look at them and think, well, their opinions must be more valid because they have more money, they've had more success in life than I had, and they have incredible sway and cachet. Also, as far as the West Memphis 3 PR, if you have celebrities out there, people are going to be talking about the celebrities, and they're not going to be talking about the minutia of the case. And as much as you can get people away from the facts of the case, the real nitty-gritty, answering those kind of questions like, why did Jesse Misskelley confess so many times? Why don't they have alibis? Why did they fail lie detectors? Why did they get convicted if they're innocent? Two different juries. One convicted Jesse Misskelley. One convicted Damien and Jason. I guess another great question to ask would be, why did they not fight the case with their exonerating evidence and get exonerated, sue the state, and not, instead of pleading guilty? Why did they plead guilty? Those would be all questions. Instead, everybody's talking about Johnny Depp or Marilyn Manson and what they wore, and, well, they support them. So it keeps things on a really surface level. But I found a great description on the internet of a cult leader, and I wanted to read a bit of it and talk about Damien Echols' personality. So the question is, what is the personality of a cult leader? Charisma, first and foremost. They have a certain kind of charm about them. They know how to use their body language effectively. For instance, most are attracted to confident people. An effective cult leader truly believes he's the stuff, I'll say. It's the other four-letter word. And his body language shows it. It's difficult to fake body language. Oftentimes they are well-spoken and can use sophisticated language that makes them appear more wise than they really are. And that is for sure with Damien Echols. But both of these qualities, so you'll see him in interviews, he's often doing these occult poses where he puts his hands to his lips, or he puts his fingers in a triangle, and he always has an intense stare into the camera. And so it's a good pantomime of sincerity, in my opinion. And it goes on to talk about underdogs. People love underdogs. Cult leaders present themselves as the underdog. They're misunderstood. They have been beaten down by society and seem to be at war with the rest of the world. Look no further than the majority religions. So, what was the big West Memphis 3 PR line? Well, they were outcasts. They wore black. They didn't fit in the Bible Belt. And Damien Echols takes that further when he talks about his prison experience. He was beat up. He was held in a cell for 23 hours a day. He lost his eyesight. He had terrible pain in his mouth. He talks about, there's a great interview where he talks about, this is really my favorite, where he talks about going out in my hometown where I am now, New York City, and he goes to a comedy show, and he's worried about being shanked, or I can't remember if he doesn't have to worry about being shanked anymore in the back, and he was so happy, he thought to himself that he didn't have to be shanked. But the guy was alone in solitary confinement on death row. So I don't know what ghost was going to shank him. But he didn't have that. Like if he was in general population, that story would make sense. But since he wasn't, and he's not expecting the interviewer to ask him that, which they didn't, he got away with it. So, he loves to talk about, I was beat up by guards, things like that, and that just gives him more credit as the underdog. And then it goes on to say, cult leaders profess to have the answers to life's big questions. And the secrets of life can be known, and only they know how to know them. They demand blind allegiance. And that is true as Damien Echols goes on and starts a career as a spiritual leader of his occult practices. And as a West Memphis 3 supporter, you are asked to blindly accept that they're innocent. You're asked not to ask questions, not talk about the record, not talk about the court case. And that's what we talk about when we talk about evidence in this case. We're talking about the interrogations and the evidence that was collected before trial, and we're talking about the court transcripts. And if you want to look into this, it's all available online at Callahan. Look up Callahan and West Memphis 3. So I'm just going to keep it short today. I think this will be part of a series about talking about little aspects of the PR creation that is the West Memphis 3 innocence fraud. That is the biggest bunch of innocence fraud ever put on the American people. So thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back next time.